When did your commanding officer have to ask the lowest-ranking person for help? It happened during my deployment to Afghanistan when our entire base lost communication with headquarters for 3 days straight. I was Private First Class Jake Miller, been in country exactly 2 weeks. Newest guy on the base, barely knew where the chow hall was, let alone how anything actually worked. Just followed orders and tried not to mess up. The crisis started on a Tuesday morning. Every radio went dead simultaneously. Satellite uplinks failed. Even our emergency communication system stopped working. Complete blackout from the outside world. Colonel Stevens, our base commander, called an emergency meeting. 20-year veteran, 2 combat deployments, the kind of officer who could solve any military problem. Except this one. Our communication specialist worked around the clock, replaced equipment, checked every wire, tested backup systems. Nothing. We were completely isolated in hostile territory with no way to call for support or medical evacuation. Day 2, the colonel started getting desperate, brought in contractors from other bases, even flew in technical experts from Germany. Still nothing worked. Every piece of equipment checked out perfectly but refused to connect. That's when I remembered something from back home. Before enlisting, I'd worked at my uncle's electronics repair shop. We'd seen this exact problem dozens of times with cell phone towers and radio equipment. The issue wasn't the equipment, it was interference from a specific type of solar panel inverter. Creates electromagnetic noise that blocks radio frequencies in a very particular pattern. I'd spent 2 years tracking down these interference sources for frustrated customers. Small electronics stores don't get the fancy diagnostic equipment, so you learn to recognize the symptoms. During my lunch break, I walked around the base perimeter. Sure enough, spotted the problem immediately. Local village had installed a new solar power system about half a mile away. Big inverter setup pointed directly at our communication arrays. Problem was, how do you explain this to a colonel? I'm just some private who's been here 2 weeks. He's dealing with a potential combat emergency affecting 300 soldiers. Finally worked up the courage to approach his aide. Told him I might know what was causing the communication failure. The aide laughed at first. You're a private, son. We've got experts handling this. But desperation makes people listen. Third day, still no communication. Colonel Stevens was willing to try anything. His aide mentioned the private with a theory about solar panels. Colonel called me into his office. I'd never been that nervous in my life. Explaining electromagnetic interference to a combat veteran who's trying to maintain operational security felt ridiculous. Sir, I think the problem is coming from outside the base. There's a solar installation in the village that's creating radio frequency interference. Our equipment is fine, but the signal can't get through the electromagnetic noise. He stared at me for a long moment. You're telling me that after 3 days of technical experts, the solution comes from our newest private? Yes, sir. I've seen this exact problem before in civilian electronics. The solar inverters create an interference pattern that blocks specific radio frequencies. Turn them off for 10 minutes and everything should work normally. He grabbed his radio, keyed the mic, nothing but static, looked back at me. Private Miller, if you're wrong about this, you'll be cleaning latrines until you retire. If you're right, I owe you the biggest steak dinner on this base. Called for a patrol to the village. Explained the situation to the village elder through our interpreter. Asked if they could temporarily shut down their new solar system for testing. 10 minutes later, every radio on base crackled to life simultaneously. Headquarters was frantically trying to reach us. Medical evacuation requests, supply coordination, intelligence briefings, 3 days of backlogged communication flooded through. Colonel Stevens walked over to my duty station an hour later, dropped a patrol report on my desk. Miller, you just saved this entire operation. How'd you know about solar panel interference? Worked at my uncle's repair shop before enlisting, sir. Customers always complained about their radios going crazy after installing solar panels. Same symptoms, just bigger scale. He shook my head and walked away laughing. Next morning, found a handwritten note on my bunk. Miller, report to the communication section. You're our new frequency coordination specialist. Effective immediately. Colonel Stevens. That solar panel knowledge got me promoted ahead of schedule and transferred to a technical position I actually enjoyed. The village got a different inverter system that didn't interfere with our radios. Last month, I got an invitation to Colonel Stevens' retirement ceremony. The invitation was addressed to Staff Sergeant Miller, solar panel expert. Apparently, he still tells that story to new officers about listening to every soldier, regardless of rank.